The Unscrewed Mind.
So we're not going to say that it's the lucky number this time.
Well, I'm going to keep it in what you just said right there. So
Patch it.
it doesn't matter.
Didn't
It really
say the
doesn't
number. Did not say the number.
matter. Oh.
Okay, so welcome back to the Unscrewed Mind.
Welcome back.
We are on podcast number 19.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And today we're going to be talking about a book that me and Matt both have read several times, The Power of Subconscious Mind. When I hold it up, it's backwards. When he holds it up, it's not. So we're going with that.
Yep.
And this book is wonderful in so many ways, specifically the fact that pretty much any person can read this book and immediately understand everything in the book. It's very simple. It's easy read, quick read. It's kind of with Think and Grow Rich and this book, I feel like that you can go to any page and pick something up, and it's very meaningful.
And it's written that way too. I took some notes before the episode today, and you can go to the table of contents at any time. And if you're struggling with something, you can go to a specific page and read about how you can use your subconscious mind to solve that problem. For instance, I have written down, do you want to forgive yourself or someone else? You just go to page 111. If you're having marital problems, you can go to page 92. And then at the end of each chapter, it has chapter highlights. So you can read like a small paragraph summary of everything that was in there and come away with some main points. And he gives you exercises that you can use too, ways that you can coax your subconscious mind into helping you achieve whatever you're looking for. I found this book fascinating when I read it a year ago, and going back through and looking at the highlighted pieces that I have, there's some gems in here, some really good stuff.
Oh yeah, I really I think I'm going to read it again, just because we've been talking about it, and I love Dr. Joseph Murphy's quotes. He has some really great ones. Change your thoughts and change your destiny. Every thought is a cause of every condition is an effect. Change your thoughts and you change your destiny. So longer version of that one. Another quote is, your desire is your prayer. Picture the fulfillment of your desire now and feel its reality, and you will experience the joy of the answered. So who does that sound like? I mean, that sounds just like Neville to me.
Yeah.
And so you can tell that pretty much everybody that we're talking about, all these books that we're talking about, is all talking about imagination, your subconscious mind, the power of your thoughts. Those are like the key things. And this book is it's pretty much the same. It's like every chapter is the same as the chapter before, but it's just a application. Like you were saying, if you want to go to this page, it's for marriage, money, all that kind of stuff. And it really does just repeat itself. But I mean, it's a good read still. It's telling somewhat of a story through it in different points. It brings up, just different things that have happened that kind of solidify what he's talking about throughout the book. But the one that on, let's see, on this is page 68 of the book. And it talks about how money is a symbol of exchange. It means to you not only freedom from want, but beauty, luxury, abundance, and refinement. it is merely a symbol of the economic health of a nation. When your blood is circulating freely in your body, you are healthy. When money is circulating freely in your life, you are economically healthy.
Okay.
And I love that because you really need to change your thought process around money as something that is circulating into your life from an affirmation standpoint, from a thought process standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and just like when you're looking at bills, or if you're looking at or if you're thinking about something that's coming up that you're going to have the money for, the way that you're thinking about that is going to dictate how it turns out. And that's what he's talking about, because if you're open to freedom around money, then you're going to have freedom. But if you have a closed mindset that this is the only way that this is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not on the right path. You're hampering yourself. And really, that's something that I think I've struggled with throughout my life. Is I have a set expectation of how that money is going to come to me.
Okay.
So in jobs, in, you know, windfalls that have happened for me over the course of my life, um, I was in a certain state of mind, knowing what I was moving towards or wanting. And then the money came to me and I didn't know how. And I was thinking along the lines of, I don't know how I'm going to get this money.
Right.
And so, and then I look at later on in my life and I start putting limitations because of how I have made money in the past. And I just think of the windfalls that have happened. And I know how my mindset was at that time. And I know that I always talk about this, how I look back, but just like the um, apartment, when I told you my apartment burned down and I
Yeah.
got that money, a year later, I was in the mindset of I am going to change my life. Everything's about to change for me. I'm going to, get a better job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And everything just started lining up because I felt confident in it. And another thing, my watch is recording everything also. Uh, so um, it says here's something that is I love this, and it's a crazy way to think about it, but poverty is a mental disease.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, if this is, don't go up to somebody that is in poverty and say you've got a mental disease. Let's not do that for sure.
Right.
But it says there is no virtue in poverty. It is a disease like any other mental disease. If you were physically ill, you would think that there was something wrong with you. You would seek help and do something about the condition at once. Likewise, if you do not have money constantly circulating in your life, there's something radically wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I, you know, tons of people that I've met that are in very bad financial situations, they all have in common the statement of they can't, or they can't catch a break, or they're saying that kind of stuff, and they even become dependent on someone else or the government or whatever entity is giving them money outside of themselves. They start to look at that situation as the only way that there is. And it's really sad to me that the way that our school systems are set up in the U.S. is to say that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to have all of these steps put in place for you to be successful. And we see all of these people in so many different careers that have said that they've quit school, or they didn't do well in school but they accelerated in this, and it's all because it was something that resonated with them and they believed in it and they felt like they could, so it allowed them to be able to.
Well,
And
Bob Proctor talks about how schools, like, people aren't taught to think. They're pumped full of this information. They're taught how to pass tests, but you're not really taught how to creatively think um, for yourself. Just to back up a little bit,
yeah,
if I mean, you're reading all this information: law of attraction, law of vibration, law of assumption, all these different laws. I mean, basically all of them say that everything that happens in your life, from things that are good, things that are bad, illness, all of that is tied back to your thoughts and how you think. And then I'm reading a book called Letting Go, and it basically says that physical pain that you feel, you know, guilt, fear, all of these things are just repressed and held on to feelings that you need to let go of to kind of move up that vibrational ladder. And so, I mean, it just seems like all of this information builds upon the fact that you have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is kind of what is lying underneath and directing everything that happens for you. And you got to address that problem first.
yeah,
Uh, so, and also too, like, the very first chapter of this book is fantastic. Uh, but Dr. Joseph Murphy talks about the fact that there are two kinds of men, Rusty, and I want to get your thought on it. And obviously, this book was written at a certain time, so now we could say there are two kinds of persons or two kinds of people. Doesn't necessarily have to be men, but there's magnetized men, which have are just beaming with confidence and faith, and they always win, right? They know they're going to win. And then you have demagnetized men that are just full of fear and doubt, and they never move forward. Like, they're worried about what people are going to think. Folks are going to laugh at them. I always fail, so there's no reason to think that I'm not going to fail this time. And I'm curious, like, is there any in between there? Like, can you be, like, partially magnetized, you think? Or is it true that you're either confident and faithful and pushing forward, or you're scared and doubtful and staying right in the same spot?
we're definitely a testament that there's an in between, because
You and I
uh,
are a testament to that?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you know,
What would you call it if you had to term it? Like, what
I,
would you term the
well,
half magnetized man?
well, now I know, constantly monitoring my thoughts. I know you are too. I know that we get into we analyze it so much, or rather we were. I think that we've let go of it a lot, because we don't have the same kind of conversations that we've had a few months back, where
Hmm.
we would literally not call each other because one of us was having a bad day.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah. And we
know,
didn't want to ruin. We didn't want to ruin the vibration of the other guy.
yeah, yeah. And you want to be strong for your friends and for your family, and you don't want to put out that negative vibration
Hmm.
onto them. And at the same time, you're trying to monitor your thoughts and change your thoughts, but you may not be there yet, all the
Right.
way across the board. But just in the last, I would say, month for me, I've really kind of let go of that thought process, and I'll call you even if it's not the best day in the world for me.
Hmm.
And but back to the, is the person magnetized or not? Just I've had a lot of people say that things always work out for me and that I'm lucky and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
because you are,
And
and they do.
and yeah, and I find it to be very true. And however, at the same time, I question how much better things could have worked out for me in certain situations if I wasn't so worried about what somebody else is thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and not scared to take a leap of faith into
Yeah.
something that previously scared me.
Maybe
And
maybe we
yeah,
phase in and out of magnetism. And
right.
then have you ever met someone, maybe like a first time, like you walk in a room and someone speaks maybe for the first time? Have you ever come across someone in your life where you're like, this person, like I don't know what it is about them, but they are on fire.
Yeah.
And because I'm curious about that, because we all know people where you see them and you're like, this, they're not magnetized, right? They're sucking all the
Yeah.
magnetism out of the room like a black hole. And
Yeah.
then, but when you, I just wonder if you've come across that other type of person and it's stuck out in your mind, or if you can recall that.
Yeah. And the to me, those people are just super confident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the way that they dress, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they speak about the subject that they're talking about. If it's somebody giving a speech, I've seen uh, several extremely good speeches throughout my career from just people that have aspired to be in that position, and they've had an idea in their mind of what the person in that position would do, and they're doing it. And I've seen so many people in positions that don't do those things, and they're not inspiring me. However, they've inspired themselves enough to get in that position. It's just not having the same effect on me. So, do you have to show on the outside that you are that person? It depends on if you can convince yourself.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like it's the same thing with dating. I've seen guys that you would think that they couldn't get a date to save their soul,
Mm-hmm.
and just dating amazing looking women, always has a girlfriend, even whether it's somebody with no money, or just they doesn't seem like they care about themselves, whatever it is. Or I'm sure you've known a guy that all the girls are always coming to, and you're just like, what is going on with this guy?
Yeah. Dude's magnetized for real.
You're like, that's me actually. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm being, I'm off the scene now. It's been a long time. Hey, brief, another great thing that they do in the first chapter is a brief summary of like key ideas that are going to be in the rest of the book. And it's like, it just starts off with, hey, here's some things that you should remember. And I mean, number one, the house is within you. Look within for the answer to your heart's desire. You've already touched on the cause and effect of every thought. Never use the terms "I can't afford it" or "I can't do this," because your subconscious mind is always listening, and it doesn't know the difference between when you're joking or when you're upset or when you're feeling a little down, and you're getting it out of your system. It's like, oh, we can't afford it.
yeah,
It takes it at it's black and white. There is no gray with your subconscious mind, so you have to be careful what you talk about. And then you've already talked about this one too, which is number 10. Change your thoughts and you change your destiny. Like it just comes out firing right away. And right off the bat that this book is all about teaching you to change how you think. And by changing that, it's going to change every other aspect of your life. And uh I read a book with a highlighter. That's one of the reasons why I like paper books,
yeah,
is because I can go through and highlight. And it's really hard when you're laying in bed on your back, and to get the iPhone to cooperate with your highlighter. But I was going back through what I had um, what I had written down, and on page 24, he asked the question: "Have you accepted any of these?" And these are just kind of negative thoughts. These are things that you've been filled with or taught from infancy, programmed by your environment or by your family to think a certain way. And so there's negative things in here. You'll never amount to anything. You mustn't, you'll fail. You haven't got a chance. You're all wrong. It's no use. It goes on and on and on. And then I had one that's highlighted, Rusty. And I was like, what? Like I feel like I was meant to highlight it before and then see it today. And
Yeah.
it's watch out, you'll get the virus.
Oh, does it really?
It's highlighted. Yes, it says watch out, you'll get the virus. So not only are you being programmed to think that you're going to get sick, right? But it's just programmed to be cautious or worried or thinking about failure all the time instead of thinking about how great life will be when you succeed. But just the fact that watch out, you'll get the virus was highlighted cracked me up when I was preparing for the podcast today.
That makes me think of in 2020 and this year, I have not gotten sick.
Yeah.
What I think is sick. So I've had days where I don't feel 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my original goals after reading this book, after reading Think and Grow Rich, is one of the first goals that it says to set is around your health.
Mm-hmm.
And I seriously, I felt off, but it's like, when you feel like you may be getting sick and then you don't end up getting sick. I had a couple of days like that, but never I've got to go lay in the bed and, that kind of deal.
Have you, so I want to stop you there. So when you start to feel yourself like feel down or just a little bit tired or off, like, cause I'll have that in my mind. I'm like, oh, I can't afford to get sick right now. And then while I'm having that thought, I stop it and I'm like, I go look at the mirror. I'm like, we don't get sick,
Yeah,
bro.
that's what I do too.
We don't get
Yes.
sick. It doesn't
Yes.
happen to us. And I look myself in the eye. I'm like, you just don't want to do what you're doing right now. And you got to snap out of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not letting you pull yourself down so you can get a break from whatever is being difficult or is hard for you right now. Like
Yeah.
you got to push forward, man. Like
Yeah.
there's people relying on you and like you, especially like you got to get going.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I have had a week where it got to me, and I was just like, I even told you, I was like, I've been telling myself I need a break and I found it in the form
Oh,
of,
yeah.
like a cold that I just couldn't get past. Like I couldn't hear out of an ear and it was just like terrible. So like there are lapses, but I mean, really, I'm just curious if you have kind of that same mental warfare that I do when I start to feel it and my mind's like, we can do this. We can get sick if we want. And I'm like, no, we can't.
Yeah. For sure. I tell my daughter Blake, she's 7, and she'll start saying that she feels bad. And Lindsay will say, Rusty, leave her alone. She's just a little kid. And I was like, no, she's not getting sick. She's thinking she's getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, Blake, did you tell yourself that you're not getting sick and that you'll be fine tomorrow morning? And she's like, yes, Dad. And I'm like, no, seriously, do it.
No days off, man. No days off.
And then but she hasn't gotten sick either. I mean, she's had a couple of days where she's, been a little bit down, but
Mm-hmm.
Mainly now she gets sick in quotes because she's trying to not go to school for some reason.
Wow. She learned that excuse young,
Yeah. We won't get into all the stories of things that she's done to get out of school, but she definitely knows what she's doing. We'll just leave it at that. But I don't want her to get on to me in a few years for telling those stories. But yeah, the whole thing is like you said, you're a magnet to what you're thinking about. And I have the internal battle that you're talking about on a daily basis and with everything that's going on in my life. And I'll notice that I stop thinking about certain things and I've kind of mastered those areas. So they've left my thought process of, I've got to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't have to actively think about keeping myself from thinking a negative thought about
Mm-hmm.
this or that situation. And it is a super process. And that's the wrong thing to say, but it really is a super process. If you're starting right now, today, or if you've been looking into this information for months and you're just now deciding that you're really going to step off into this all the way, start meditating, start listening to your thoughts, start controlling your thoughts, rejecting thoughts, accepting
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, all that kind of stuff. It is a totally different mindset, and you're really building an iron mind. And that is
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of the people, where you were talking about somebody that is successful or powerful, they have an iron mind. That's what they have focused on, their mind and the way that they think, because when they're walking in, they don't care what anybody else thinks in that room either. They're only
Right.
thinking about how they're going to feel about what they're about to do or how they're going to present themselves. And one of my favorite parts about this book talks about government, and it says to not concern yourself about politics, but it does say keep the idea of democracy in your mind.
Okay. Okay.
So there's nothing, it says don't watch the news, don't pay attention to anything. There can always be negative cells. If there is nothing going on in the United States today and there's a fire in the United Kingdom that's huge, that's all that we're going to see on the news all day
Right.
long.
Right.
So avoid TV, avoid the media. He's talking about avoiding the radio, I think, in this book.
He's like, don't read the newspaper,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. So, I wish that was our problem, because
Too
we
much.
have
Yeah.
endless connection to it. So, but he's also stating in that fact that you have control over the state of government that you're living under.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many people that are listening to this, or you or me, can say that you truly believe that you're in control of what's going on from that level?
Yeah. That's a deep question about how you've been programmed to think, or like where you sit in the pecking order, Like
Yeah.
I would say that I've been programmed to think that what I want doesn't really matter, and that I couldn't make a change if I wanted to, even though I have the right to vote. It'd be difficult to do. But
I
I don't know how deep into this pool we want to wade, you know.
I feel like that over the last year and a half, that my inside thought processes are playing out on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that, and it has been such an experience, because as the highs and lows come with me, it seems like it plays out on the outside of my life, and it can go as many feet up or down as you want. You'll notice that it's affecting you'll notice that the people that you're interacting with are one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start thinking that it's going to be this way or that way, then it is. And then the relationships, same exact way. Um, my job, interacting with management, all this stuff plays out exactly how I keep impressing it in my mind. So if
Mm-hmm.
I think the week is going to be great, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, it happens every time. And if I think the other way, it happens every time.
Yeah.
So that's I know that's something we've both fought with. And but I would definitely pick this book up. It's a super simple read. If you don't want to read the book, or it's like a $4 book, I think you can order it on Amazon for
It's like
$4.
it's like 100 pages. You know,
Yeah,
it's like reading a magazine. It's very simple,
yeah.
very simple.
So, but if you don't want to, or you're not going to buy the book, just Googling Dr. Joseph Murphy quotes or a summary of this book is worth your time for sure. The entire read is the best option because it goes through so many different scenarios in your life. It
Hmm.
repeats the same information, but for some reason, the first time that you're hearing it, that's exactly what you need. You need to hear it 15 different ways and
Yep,
the exact same information.
for sure.
So start programming your mind with things that you want instead of things that you don't want.
Yep, and your subconscious mind knows all the answers, and it knows that everything is easy. Like your conscious mind makes things difficult. Your subconscious mind already has the answer.
Yep.
So, hand it
And
over to that.
this is a great way. This is something great to do with your kids. I know I mentioned my daughter earlier, and I constantly tell her, just know that you already know this information. If it's something that she's struggling in with school, and it's the information, you're just convincing yourself that you do, and it has helped dramatically just with their confidence, because she was sitting there thinking, okay, I'm seeing these other kids do this and I don't know if I can do it, just reluctant to step off into it. And when you tell her, when I've told her like that, she's like, okay, you know what I mean? Because she's so
Yeah.
young, she's at a point where this can be the way that she lives life, her
Yeah.
entire
Yeah.
life.
Hmm.
And so I'm trying to counteract the programming that she's getting at school saying, you have to do this, this, and this in order to understand this, and
Hmm.
just let her know the power inside of you already knows. It's just, you've got to be accepting of that.
Yeah, you're like, Blake, you're God. Like
Yeah.
you can do geometry. It's not a big deal. You created the universe.
Yeah. So, anyway, appreciate everyone that's listening, and check out our YouTube channel. This is where it's going to be on video.
Yep.
And yeah. Anything else, Matt?
No. Nope. I'm good.
Alrighty. Have a good day.
Bye bye. The Unscrewed Mind.